All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Horimiya, episode 6.
All right,
we met the dad.
Yeah, last episode, the dad, Kyosuke, showed up. It was a bit of a surprise, not just to us, but also Hori's mother, who was much, very, very odd response in how him showing up kind of did things there. It was more of the thing of like, how are we going to feed everyone? Not the, what are you doing here?
Right. Yeah.
But like, oh no, this means I'm gonna have to put up with you. But
Right.
I'm not that
Against
frustrated with
it.
that.
Yeah, but complicated family situation.
Very complicated family situation.
But then we also had the complicated situation with Hori being,
Difficult.
difficult. Yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
exactly. So, given that we now know a lot more about how Hori came to be who she is, and even in a funny way, understanding that, her first name came from two separate kanji directly from her mother and father, which is kind of cool, Kyosuke and Yuriko. It's like, oh, okay, cool, okay, yeah, it's a 50-50 split. That's kind of fun. Thus, the dysfunction of her parents in its raw, pure form
Gets passed on a little bit.
It's of course passed on, but but we now know why Hori has her specific combination, which is always a really fun thing to figure out when you meet a boyfriend or girlfriend, and it's just like, oh, those are your parents. Oh,
That explains a lot.
That explains a lot. I get it now. Yeah. Interesting.
However, we also had a situation where Hori had to, even if it was, a bit coerced, she said that Miya was indeed her boyfriend.
It's true. It's true.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a bit of a performance for the father.
Yeah, but Miya definitely didn't mind.
Yeah, I think this was an interesting one where there was a step forward that was taken that Sota kind of coming home with his buddy kind of encapsulates it well. Oh, they're at it again. It's like, again? Yep, that is this show and this relationship.
That's right.
So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. Okay.
All right.
Well, this episode got us a couple really tropey moments and stuff in a really fun way.
Yeah.
We have the rival, and not Hori's rival, but Miyamura's rival.
Indeed.
And that
was a fun little twist.
Second year that's just crushing really hard on Hori, which is interesting because I almost thought that they were implying that there's an aspect of this where she was watching Hori from afar, just with a crush, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's that.
Right,
Yeah,
it's high school,
I get that. It's high school. But that it wasn't until not just that the rumors started spreading around that she was dating Miyamura, but also that Miyamura was like, oh, the talk of the girls. And suddenly he's all like someone that they all want. And she's just like, no. No, I have to break this apart. I must tear it down.
When are you breaking up with her?
Yeah. I loved that. And then, of course, Ishikawa can be like, Twister, yes.
One of the other things that I got to say I really appreciated. In anime, it can be very difficult to figure out like what kind of age the characters are supposed to be. And I liked that the second year in high school actually looks like I would expect a second year in high school to look. Like because when you're in high school, you're like, no, I'm older. I'm cool. I'm
got it going on.
I'm grown up and stuff. And then like 5 years later, you're like, oh my god, they're all little babies.
Yeah, exactly.
That
was
was
just the difference between a 17-year-old and a 16-year-old is like
It's
puberty, like season or something, basically.
But like that was just one of those things where I was like, yes, that's it added a level of like almost Chihuahua kind of like yapping to like when she would like be hounding Miya for like, no, I want to be with Hori. It's like, sure, kid,
Yeah. Whatever you say, kid, yeah.
Right.
You're not actually a threat, and thus we don't really dislike you.
Nope.
That's the thing that's really, really smart about this. was that having this character show up out of kind of nowhere is a problem in terms of setting up a distraction from the main story conflict / drama.
Right.
But because it's such a footnote in terms of the actual like meaning in the story.
Right.
Like Hori is not like actually like really rattled by this.
No.
And Miyamura might be a little bit, but not really.
Yeah, just stop that, you know.
Go away. But then, you're locked out of your place? Just come on over and have some cake while we wait for, your key to get back here or something.
And all this in the same episode as Miya doing the stealth kiss in the same room as Shindo, and not just a peck on the lips or anything, like
he swiped the candy.
Yeah, that was great.
Let's just say that made Hori interested in him making some moves on her. She's just like, oh my god. He stole my candy. This isn't no licorice tying kind of stuff like that.
And that's not something that either of them talked about after. Not to each other and not to other people when they had to like, what's the proof that you guys really dating and all that stuff, right? Oh, yeah, I'll say that I took a shower at her place. But maybe not talking about that. Now maybe that was something that he just also brought up or whatever. Who knows, right? But no, that's their own special secret little thing.
Yep.
And then why don't you make any moves? Dad immediately shows up.
I actually really want to talk about the idea that Miyamura is extremely relatable, though, in the situation where he did make a move on her, but she was like, "No, make a move, right. Like you just stole a kiss."
He made a move that he was comfortable with, right?
Right. But the idea that she wasn't necessarily comfortable with that, like she did not. She did not expect it, for one. Well, two, she did not consent to that either.
Oh, yeah. And as far as a first kiss goes, that was like, she might have wanted to have it be something more particular, or who knows.
Right. Yeah. But this is a thing that I have in my romantic relationships in general. This is something that I've had a like really, really like long like series of like moments of like conversations with myself, but also with them of like, what are you comfortable with? Like, what is a move on you that you would actually like? And I've talked with people, like tons of people outside of that stuff as well, where it's just friends and stuff. And there's this really interesting conversation that's coming up just in general of like, wait a minute. In terms of just becoming more aware of how little sometimes actual consent is asked for with regards to, making some kind of a sensual encounter happen of some kind that could lead to something actually sexual. Like, there's a whole lot of stuff that I feel like Miyamura, just by asking, like, well, what kind of moves? And I'm so glad she didn't do some kind of, like, Baka, like
you should just know,
just know, or something like that.
Yeah,
she just got awkward because she's just like, oh shit.
Well, I need to actually answer that, and then maybe I'm not entirely sure either.
I don't know. Yeah, but that's the thing that I feel like is really precious about this. They're young people who don't really know half of what they're doing.
Yep,
and yet she essentially asked him in less specific terms, like, please make a move on me.
Yeah.
Like, she phrased it more of the passive-aggressive way.
Right.
When are you ever going to make a move on me? Which is one,
why
false,
haven't you,
Because he literally kissed her, French kissed her.
Oh, yeah.
Tongue and everything.
Yep.
Like, in just earlier.
Right. So it's one of those things where, like, this is a much more enjoyable side for me than what I feel like I usually end up getting whenever in romance anime, because since the vast majority of them are set in high school, there's all the awkwardness and stuff of the idea of relationships being this new crazy thing and scary and all of that stuff. And because you generally don't want the relationships to actually like happen anytime soon, because from the story perspective, you want to have the tension of the possibility of the relationship more than the actual relationship, because it keeps the audience engaged, all that stuff, and blah, blah,
blah. Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons why, like, when we watched, say, Wodokoi, for instance, that was something where I was like, okay, cool,
so
adults,
refreshing.
you know, it's so refreshing. And one of the reasons, even though a lot of people rag on me and joke about this, but why I would legitimately love to see an anime that goes into, like, lewd, explicit material is because the idea of actually answering that question of what kind of moves, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we have it cut off to a comedy bit here with the dad, and it's great and all, and it makes for a wonderful laugh. And well, shit, you know, it's like the moment's ruined because dad showed up, right? And that's relatable in its own right.
Yeah, but as they keep going in this direction, we realize, oh, that's where we're going. Mm-hmm. It's just getting edged out.
There's wax on, wax off, kind of deflections happening, right?
Right.
But that is a very
it's an inevitability.
It's an inevitability, but it's also a very sweet thing for a couple to have to figure out together.
Yes,
right.
It's super realistic.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that like many people have been talking about more and more recently is just the idea that I mean it's almost sometimes sounds kind of cringy, but like consent is sexy. The idea of him being like, "What would you like me to do?"
No, sure, yeah.
And she'd be like,
right.
Like her tongue just becomes really thick and heavy.
Yeah, and the thing is that like
I don't know what that means.
There's like this obsession that can happen with like, oh yeah, sex is sexy and and all of that stuff and tautology, but like
I don't know what you mean
by
that.
But you gotta have the fanfare and the lighting and the and all of that stuff. Like it's presented as this almost mystical thing.
Right.
When really it's a lot goofier and sillier. And but that's not
more of just bumping around, being awkward,
right.
and being doofuses.
But that's not as
young,
marketable,
Yeah, exactly.
So that's not really done. But like,
I would love to finally see in a wholesome romantic comedy, just full out making out on the couch.
Yep.
Just making out on the bed, doing whatever, and then there's just that awkward moment of where he's like
someone farts or like
or just at the very least he's like super hard and she's just like hi, and she's just like whoa, okay, and he's like what are you feeling
right,
yeah, like, and she's just like yeah, kinda, and he's like okay.
What then? Do we want to? I don't know.
That's why I loved the live action movie Juno so much.
Oh,
Juno is a great example of high school relationships dealing with, puberty, sex, pregnancy, a whole bunch of really, really interesting stuff there. But having maybe like a little bit more of a mature angle that in an anime for something like Horimiya, where the pacing is also so quickly, means that we're probably going to get to some of that stuff.
Yep, like
relatively soon.
We could leave high school fairly soon if the show wanted to.
3 episodes, 4 episodes or so.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I really liked though also now that we've jumped past the immediate awkwardness of the parents being in close proximity, the idea that they're then like, oh, come over literally all the time, Miya, and you can even give the typical traditional responses of leaving the house like you're a son of ours.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which made
we have a futon set aside for you.
Yeah. And the dad is, yes, maybe a bit of a deadbeat or has some kind of problems and stuff, but he genuinely likes you.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is working out. Like
he might feel a bit betrayed that you would cut your hair and break the bonds of shaggy hair.
Us shaggy folks.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, it like reminds me of the fact that I've got my hair like super long, and I'm like,
oh wow,
need to cut it at some point. Who are you?
The different reactions from the classmates and stuff, that was great.
That was really good.
That was awesome.
I loved also green haired boy Shu. He was just like, blah! And then Toru's like, best reaction right there. Yeah. There you go.
Yep. But okay.
But okay, cool. There will be moves made.
Yeah.
But not this episode.
Right. And not necessarily on screen or anything.
I
no, yeah, no, I think
they could be.
Yeah, we got first kiss, so that kind of stuff is important to know when it happens.
The first kiss being handled in that way actually tells me that they're probably going to handle things as they go into the sexy side of things a little bit more in that kind of goofy, mature way, if that makes sense, where it's just like, hey, we're just figuring this shit out.
It doesn't need to be with fireworks on in the background and, and like all that stuff. Like, it can just be something as simple as, oh, she tried a candy that is probably really gross. Oh, man, I wonder what that tastes like. I could find out. Yep. And then and the friend doesn't know anything about what happened.
Yep.
Like
I literally had a moment like that back in high school where I was dating this girl and we were at the beach basically. And there's a whole bunch of people that are lying with shades on and blankets like over
sunbathing
and stuff and things like that. And we were just lying there next to each other, and then we would wait for them to start going, and then we just go crazy. And the second any of them started, we just flop back over,
and just be like
quietly, we didn't even make a sound, and it was just And the best part was the waves crashing. We'd time the kiss sounds specifically with the waves crashing, making all the noise. Because otherwise they would just hear all that noise and shit. And it was just that was so awesome.
But it was being stealthy about it with
but
your
it wasn't
partner,
just friends and stuff. It was her family and some extra friends and stuff like that.
I think I know.
Yeah. Of course you know.
Yeah.
But just the idea that we'd be yeah, that was awesome. And then the best part about this was then one of the siblings would be like, aren't you guys gonna sneak off at some point?
Don't need to.
We were we don't need it. We already got our makeout session in.
Exactly.
I mean, I think it was more just the thing where we just looked at each other and we were like, no, we're good. No, we're good. And they were just like, what?
Or oh, maybe we should at some point, Yeah,
because they would every once in a while be like, oh, we're going to go this way, oh, yeah, this way. And then we'd just be like, yeah, we're going that way too. And they'd be like, no, just...
Massacre.
What are they doing?
Oh, boy.
But high school romance with the goofy awkwardness of first kisses not being exactly how you expect them to be. Talking about hey, when are you gonna put your hands on these legs,
Yeah, my thighs are right here. Well, sure, that too. But also just we're sitting next to each other. Your hand could be literally on my thigh right now, and it's not. Mm-hmm. Why?
Yeah. I shaved big time.
Oh boy.
You don't know how smooth these are right now. I love the moment where the guy's just girl grabs by the wrist, puts his hand there, and he's just oh. It's just the vodka.
Things like this just convince me more and more that I need to have 0.5 chapters for my books. Can't trust anybody these days. Gotta do everything yourself.
Yeah, you're fine.
Right.
Reality can be whatever I want.
Yeah. Oh boy.
But this episode was really fun. I really loved moments with Hori's family. Yep. But I liked finally getting to see Miya's mother and the way in which she was kind of the exposition giver to the stuff with the girl that's crushing on Hori. Mm-hmm. She did lose her older brother.
And not some sort of metaphor or anything.
No,
he's dead.
He's dead.
Yep.
That was a thing from another school, but that means that plot line is now still carrying
rolling,
into future episodes.
Yep.
Which really cool. Mm-hmm. Curious to see where that goes.
Yeah.
But yeah. Thank you all so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below. For our Patreon, you can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yes, if any that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.